Nobody does it better.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome.
I gotta get out of here in a half hour.
Here. Here.
Here.
What are you here for? Oh.
All right, first item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda.
I have a question.
You bet.
Are we, the policy, if we're making those changes, are we just approving that change in the consent agenda, or should that be something we just?
I was going to ask if there was any discussion on that.
Well, the consent agenda is either approved or not, or we can pull it. So I didn't know how you want to handle it.
Good point. Let's pull it. Let's
Okay.
put it under new business.
All right.
So we'll strike item 8, and we'll add under new business,
25?
sure.
I guess. So I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay.
Support.
Very nice to be able to hear you all. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion passed. Do item 25. First call to the public regarding agenda items only. I do believe we have one here. So it is going to be added to the agenda when we get to that point. Actually, the certificates I've got, they haven't been added to the agenda items yet. We will get to that point when we approve it. I'm going to delay the call to the public until we have the approval of the board meeting agenda. And then we'll call the people to speak regarding that approved agenda. Is that okay with everyone? No comments? All right, approval of the board meeting agenda. Any additions, deletions, comments?
I have a couple additions.
Okay,
Mowing for the 2023 season.
so we'll make that item 26.
And I didn't know if you were going to talk about April or not. That was my other one.
I will.
Okay, that was the other one I had.
If you want to put that down.
Like April meeting change, we could put as 27 just because.
Yeah. So the April meeting, discussion, change, possible, 27.
No possible about it because Amy and I will be the only ones here.
Okay.
No.
Anything else from the rest of the board?
No. I got nothing.
Okay, I have a few. One that was recommended by George, and I'll make that item 28 is the item regarding Michael Homier's presentation and discussion to the public. 28.
We talked about it at the budget meeting, apparel. We talking about that again?
We're going to talk about it during the budget part unless you want to have it as a total separate item.
You want an agenda item?
Well,
Let's just
we
make
were
a
going to comment on it, so.
You brought it up.
Sure.
So you're adding workwear to the agenda, as number 29, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, item 29. unfortunately, we'll be voting on the budget before we get to that. That's, I'll bring item 29 in before we get to discussing the budget.
Okay. Well, that's, would you incorporate that in?
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking we would do.
So I got my little line drawn there. And we've got item 30, senior center.
Oh, I thought we did the communications thing.
And 30, and 31, the zoning ordinance amendment. Actually,
Postpone that till next month. Let's not add it.
let's not add it. Sorry, I'm wrong with my notes that I put together this afternoon.
So it's just 31's a scratch?
Yes.
31's a scratch. We got 30 items.
Just for the pool amendment.
The what?
The pool amendment that the planning commission approved.
I talked to
We got
Megan.
back the report from the county, but we didn't have a resolution yet.
I talked to Megan tonight and asked her, and she said, really, Abby draws those resolutions up, she's more comfortable.
We haven't done that.
It's cold. So I need, we've got an amended agenda. I need a motion to approve and support.
Motion to approve it.
I'll second.
We've got motion and support. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The approval, or the agenda is approved. Moving on to communications. First item,
Bill, could you
Yes.
review quickly the items that were added?
I'm sorry, say again?
Could you review quickly the items that were added to the agenda?
Sure. The items that were added is policy 7 discussion, item number 25. Item 26, lawn care bids. Item 27, discussions on possible date change of our April board meeting. 28, discussion regarding Michael Homier to address the public regarding some things that are going on with the solar issue. We'll get into that when we get there. Item 29, workwear. And item 30, the senior center.
Thank you.
Okay. So first item under communications, item 9, the planning commission ex officio report.
We just had our discussion last Monday, basically on the solar ordinance and the draft proposal. It was just a draft. It was, there was no public hearing or anything on that, but I think there's a confusion. And do you want to wait on that to let Homier address some of those issues? Because you have it on an agenda item.
That would be certainly fine with me, but I don't
Okay.
think Mike's going to be here tonight.
No, I understand that, but I think it was kind of hashed out at the meeting, but I think there was confusion as to who actually put it together or did not put it together. And I think the people want to know who actually did it or didn't do it. I know
Okay.
Homier had put it together, but it seemed like a copy-paste with demonstrated need in the pre-existing draft from before, is what it looked like. Okay, and there was a lot of things left out that the committee had done, and I think there was a lot of frustration and misunderstandings maybe on where we're at, because
I agree.
it's just a draft,
Right.
okay? And I'm not saying it's not supposed to be in there, I'm just saying it was just a first-run draft, is all I'm saying. So there's gonna be, I'm sure
So
there'll
it's a
be,
draft up for discussion.
there's many amendments that are gonna
Yeah.
be part of that, okay? But I think it's still good that Homier addressed this issue, so.
And I guess we can talk about that when we get to that item on the agenda, but should that be done at a planning commission meeting, a board meeting, or a special meeting?
I think due to the frustration of the whole township, I think it should be a special meeting.
Okay? So we'll bring it up under item 28, but
Yep.
yeah,
Because this is gonna run long tonight as it is.
right. Agreed. Okay.
One other thing, there was some things about sea containers or storage containers. And I did check on it briefly, and they are allowed in the building code. I just want the board to be aware of that. The construction with sea containers is allowed per the building code.
That that would be what my concern would be, was whether or not it was allowed in the building code.
Yeah, but I guess it would depend on what the end use would be for. If it's
Right.
just storage, or if it's gonna be habited building, I mean, that's what you're gonna have to clarify or define if it's even allowed. But if you don't allow it, I think you're gonna run into legal trouble.
But I think that, like you said, the planning commission will address the issues. But my first question was, is it even allowed under the building code? And you said yes. So
Yeah,
that
I brought it up, I just did a simple Google search, I didn't go into the actual code, but it popped right up in 2021 that they do allow it.
Okay. Now, can the township do anything in their zoning to regulate that, or is it just a wide open issue?
I'm sure you could, but if it's not in the building code and you deny, I think you're gonna run into some legal issues.
I'm not saying deny, but can we put some conditions in it?
You could put stipulations.
Okay.
You could, it's kind of like the mobile home park or solar ordinance. You're allowing the use with conditions or stipulations or an ordinance that they would have to comply with. You're not denying the use.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know that anybody has even, like in the office, when Gary's asked about it, it wasn't about denying, it was just about there's no guidelines of what is and isn't allowed.
Okay, and I'm sure that, to your point, Liz, it's, at this time, it's a planning commission issue.
Anything else, Harold?
Not at this time, no.
Sounds good. Next item was Livingston County Planning Report, which was in the packet.
That's the ordinance that we were gonna adopt a resolution
Right.
to enact it for the swimming pool regulations, but that's what we were putting on. So that report speaks to that issue that will be on next month's
Yeah.
agenda.
So that'll be under unfinished business next month. Next item is the drain report. I had a meeting with Ken Rucker yesterday. We talked for quite a while in his office, and as the board will remember, we had, at the tail end of last year, some numbers that were reported to us by the Drain Commission that were available, or could possibly be available to the township for the drain use. Ken said that one of the things he's in fact, is he had a meeting, I believe it was tonight, could be wrong, maybe it was last night, with the Board of Commissioners, and we've got some new commissioners on board. And he's not entirely certain whether that commitment that was made by the previous Board of Commissioners will be renewed this term.
You're talking at the county.
At the county, right. So he's got to get back to me. As far as sharp drain, the first item on that agenda is a public notice on that, and Ken's been trying to coordinate a meeting date on that. It was set for March 16th. Didn't work for him. Now it's been postponed until April. Let's see if I can figure out quickly where that date is. Month of April. And we are planning on just sat in his office and did this yesterday. Interesting.
Oh, can we just say that it's set for?
It's
Just a
posted.
different date instead of waiting?
Can't find the date right now, but it's supposed to be, he wants to do it sometime in April. He's gonna get the communications out, because it's such, a difference in the assessment. And he wants to start with that, public informational hearing, which will be held here at the township.
Separate meeting.
Right.
The Drain Commission hosts it.
Yeah, the drain commission hosts it, just be and all the residents that will be affected by that sharp drain will be.
They get noticed.
They know us, yeah, they do everything. We're just hosting it.
One thing I thought was interesting, when my meeting with Ken yesterday, and he's bringing the stuff up on the computer, I had no idea. The drain commission assessments and everything, BSNA software. Looks just like our assessment software, except it's a little bit more complicated. Anyway, so that's what's going on with the drains. I'll have some more information on that. I just didn't have time to compile everything from my meeting that I had with Ken yesterday to have it ready for tonight. I'll have it ready for tomorrow.
Question, you have the February 16th county planning minutes in here. Is there, did we have the capacity to have the last week's meeting of the planning commission at the county level?
Wasn't available to me.
I got it in the mail today, but I wasn't gonna throw that on there because that was about the moratorium. and
Yep.
Zoning, and this was just the pool.
No, understood, but
I just got it today.
people are gonna ask, that's why I'm asking.
Yep, I got it today and I put it to be addressed next month.
I guess we can communicate it to the board members and make sure it's in the packet for next month, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought, it would go in the packet next month and be
But
on the agenda.
The resolution will be part of the packet next month, correct?
Yes,
For
absolutely.
both of them.
Okay, all right.
Okay, there's the information in the packet on the March Recreation Board meeting.
We need to talk about that.
Fair enough.
I have two questions. We're going to approve the budget based on the information Brandy gave us last month, because it has to be done before the 31st. And if we're not, then are we opting out?
From everything I've understood from Brandy and what the Recreation Board has done, I'm in favor of it.
I think they've cleaned up their mess, and I
I was
would be
gonna say
too.
what she has said, that they've done everything fast.
Right, and they have a plan going forward to not let it get like that again.
Right.
It is kind of a reoccurring theme.
Well, but she's the first person that's ever gone there and gone through the budget line by line and held their feet to the fire, and they did agree with her
I'm
that.
not saying Brady did anything.
No, she did it right.
I'm just saying, with the rec board, it's been an issue over the years.
So I would propose that we approve this year, and then next year we'll do the same thing, and not, because because post-COVID, I think it got even worse, and there was a change in the director. I'm not defending or blaming, I'm just saying, they've brought it in the line based on, now they're like reinstituting fundraisers that they hadn't had, and all those things. I think we should do it. Actually, she did some calculations, and if we opt out, it'll cost more for the people, like, so it'll cost people a lot more than what it'll be. If we approve it, it's less than we've done per person in the past. So I think we should. And I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed budget for this year.
I'll second.
Question,
Okay?
regarding the people that participate in fundraisers and then the people that don't, could we have Brandy comment on that real quick?
Oh, I couldn't see her. I was looking for her.
Of course, here or not.
Earlier.
I knew she was here. I just couldn't see
And
her.
I know I think you spoke to me about that, but I would like the people to know what you said.
There is not an update on that yet. I'm gonna bring it up at the next meeting. But the proposed plan is currently if you sell the candy bars, is just one of the examples, that brings $25 into to the rec program. They're allowing parents that don't want to go out and sell the candy bars to opt out for $25. They're going to change it so that the parents that don't want to put in the work and the effort to buy or sell and participate in the fundraiser, they're going to have to pay more than the parents that put in the effort, so that they kind of get a discount for putting in the work.
I wanted it to be fair, that's all.
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
Right, and I agree with that. I thought that they had already made that.
We had, no, because she can't, it can go into effect for the following year, because it wasn't in the works for this part, so it's gonna be put into the works for starting in July.
And that's a good reason why we need to do this same thing next year, analyze it, make sure.
I'm gonna
we're
ask for
doing
the
this
budget an
thing.
extra month in advance next year, because I ended up with a bunch more questions and felt a little rushed.
Right.
So
Could we get an update next month? I mean, whatever they come to a resolution on?
on the increase, or for that,
Yes,
on the candy bar thing, or
Yes.
the, yes,
yes. Okay. Thank you.
yep.
Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay. so
We got a
you said
motion
you
and
had a couple.
support, I don't have anything
Yep.
else.
Okay, we got a motion and support to approve the funding for the recreation board. You need a roll call on that?
No, we're not spending money, we're just approving their budget.
Okay, all right. So, all in favor?
And
Opposed? And funding is approved. On into Robin info, I just threw that in the packet because it was a report on the result after the grant closed last Tuesday. So that's in there. Really, there's not gonna be much happening. Apparently, there was a lot more communities that opted into that than certainly the funds were available. I did talk to Adam today, and he said it'll be a few weeks before we know who any of those grant winners are. So, I just wanted to post that so everyone knew.
But just to be clear, there was 2 letters of support, one for
One for Comcast and one for
Surf
Surf Internet, right. Oh, yeah. And they did get a thank you from, can't remember the gentleman's name from Comcast, Eric,
Was it Woody, the guy that I?
Eric Woody. And he did send a thank you. I appreciated that letter of support. So on to the next item under unfinished business, the budget amendments.
Bill, are you going to go back to the first call to the public for agenda items?
that's what I was thinking. They weren't any, were they? There was just
No,
the
there
2
was.
non-agenda
There was.
items? Oh, I thought you said they weren't.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, let's pause and do that for a second. In fact, because that'll give me a chance to bring Haley up, and so she would have to sit here all the way till the end. So Haley, if you'd like, there you are. Come on up to the mic so everybody can hear you.
So you're gonna have her talk now, then we're not gonna vote on it until later? I told her she'd talk when we talk.
I understand, but she did request a,
That was before we just.
and it was on, and it's on the agenda item, so I'll let Haley speak.
You want to ask her if she wanted to try to do it after, when we have the agenda item come up, would that be better for her?
I guess it
What you
depends
want.
on if you wanna stay for the whole meeting, or if you wanna just find out later what happens.
You can go ahead and email me and I can go now if you would prefer, whatever's
Okay.
good with you. So, good evening. My name is Haley Trombley and I am the new temporary Senior Center Director of the Fowlerville Senior Center. I am from Catholic Charities of Livingston under the Michigan Health Endowment Fund for the next 3 years. I have been working with our board, with Dean Snyder, Livingston County Catholic Charities and the surrounding communities. Since I have started in the past 2 months, I have increased membership by 55%, and 20% of our members reside in Conway Township. Because of the Catholic Charities grant, our programming has tripled, and we're offering a variety of different programming, exercise, music, blood pressure checks, expanding our donation room, our pantry for the seniors in the community. We're redoing our library and really rebranding our center. Your contributions in the past have really made a difference at our center, and we're really hoping again this year that you would be able to fund us. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have about our center. And we're just excited to be hoping to go in a new direction and really change the trajectory of the Fowlerville Senior Center.
How long have you been in that position now?
I have been in this position for 2 months.
Oh, and you increased it
By-
by 50%?
By 55%, I have increased our membership, yes.
So what is the number?
I've increased our membership by 14 people,
Okay.
which is the most that they've had. A little bit of history, the senior center was ran by volunteers for the past 15 years, and I'm the first paid staff funded through Catholic Charities.
Okay, and you said temporary, you're there on a temporary basis.
Yes, I am. I am funded through the Michigan Health Endowment Grant, and that is a grant cycle for 3 years.
So what happens after 3 years?
Our goal at Catholic Charities is to find a temporary funding solution, working with community partners, sponsorships, townships, and other community partners to find a temporary funding stream. And we're currently working on that right now with the Council on Aging, the directors at Catholic Charities, and also the board at the Fowlerville Senior Center.
And what type of new programs are you planning on?
I actually brought our April calendar, if you'd like to take a look. We have 10.
Yes, I will.
Absolutely, I can come give that to you guys all right now if you would like.
Sure.
Yeah.
George, you want to do the 15th member?
Wait, to go tonight, probably, yeah.
Sorry, I had
Why do you think you couldn't resist?
I had to ask.
You had to do it. You're not gonna get enough exercise tonight? Go exercise. We have a saying, there's always one.
But to go back to your question with programming, we are starting new exercise. We have 4 different types of programming. Let's start with that. We have exercise, we have education, we have social connections, and we have entertainment. So if you look on our April calendar, you will see music entertainment, blood pressure checks, cardio drumming, which is a low-packed exercise for seniors. You'll also see ladder talks, which is a low-impact exercise for seniors. We have financial advice and planning with the Bank of Ann Arbor in Fowlerville. And we also have a healthy living presentation in class from the Alzheimer's Association and a handful of other programming events as well.
Your name again, please.
My name is Haley Trombley,
H-A...
Hayley, Trombley.
Thank you.
I didn't remember, was this in the packet that I found it, or did you print it for
It was
us?
not in the packet, Haley just brought it to me this morning.
Okay, because I was like, I have it here, but I didn't know where it came from.
I just printed it for you.
That's fine, thank you.
Are you looking at even more than what is on this calendar?
Yeah, we're looking to start more programming. Right now, when I got to the senior center, they had 3 programs. And now with this calendar, we have 10 new programs, and we're hoping to expand around 10 to 15. But also, all of our board is volunteers, and I'm the only paid staff. So until I can get some more volunteers in there to help run the programs, I'm a little bit limited in what I can do. But I know with the work of the community and reaching out to different churches and different community partners that we can definitely make a difference and get more programming at the center.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions?
No, sounds like you're already doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So then, we're supposed, I think we should still keep item 30 and see if we can approve that, the funding. Last year, we appropriated $2,000 to the senior center in February. So we want to do that this fiscal year.
We needed, as I say, we would need to add that to the budget. That's why I thought we were gonna do it before, not after the budget, but
You probably should.
Well, we can.
we can talk about it during the budget,
Sounds
just
good.
like the work
Yep.
order. I was gonna pull up the budget and look at where it falls,
Okay,
because
next,
it's not included in the
This
proposal.
comes the public's done. Anthony,
I'll wait till you get to that if that's fine.
okay, that sounds good. And Jim?
I just wanted to talk briefly about the lawn care services. You guys, the bid you're gonna review tonight. You should have received a bid from a company called 42 North. I've used the services of this company in the past. I think their rates are very reasonable. They're very responsive and they do excellent work. So I'd like the board to strongly consider 42 North for the services you're looking for. Thank you.
You too. Anyone else? Doug, please.
Doug Helsman, County Commissioner. I have several things that touch on your agenda tonight. First of all, the drain report, you made a comment that Ken Recker had said that there was he had some doubt in his mind that the commission was going to follow through on their plans to fund. We had 2 projects come before the board last night, and both of them were approved. I think that there'll be strong support on the board going forward for the drain projects. And that was after the broadband for the county and for and especially for Unadilla for their fire and safety. The Drain Commission is really one of my high priorities for the ARPA funds, because it's kind of behind the scenes and nobody understands how important it is to our county and to your township that our drains run well. And so I think that I'm very confident that that if your project was on our priority list, that it will be taken care of.
Cool.
My question is, it has to be done by 2026, and so the ability for the Drain Commission to get the job lined up and done by 2026, I think, is more the issue than the willingness to do it. Then the Robin grant, the county put in for a Robin grant, but the Robin grant centers around loops and working out from that. The county has one partner called LIT. They're an out-of-state company. They're first coming into Livingston County, and they have quite a robust program. I am favoring Adam Bates' proposal to Robin. His will guarantee that there's 100%. Will be 100% availability. He said for Deerfield, Cohocton, Conway, Handy, Unadilla, and Iosco townships. So that he is the one that I think he will be the best for your township. Also, I know that you have some ARPA funds that are also available. I encourage you to work with Adam and his company to bring broadband to your township. Cohocton Township used most of their money. Unadilla used all of their money on it. Iosco Township used quite a bit, and I'm not sure about Handy Township. But I just encourage you to use your ARPA funds as much as you can for that regard. So I don't know if you have any questions that I might be able to help you with.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so very good. Thank you.
Anything else? Seeing none, let's move forward. On to unfinished business item, first item, the budget amendments. I believe everyone had that in your packets. I think that is a motion. So the motion was to amend the 2023 budget to increase the insurance and bonds budget, planning and zoning wages, seminars and workshops, attorney fees, utilities, and postage. I will make the motions, I brought it up, so I will make the motion that we approve those items. I just need support.
I will second it.
There's a motion and a support, any discussion?
This is for this budget.
This is for last year's.
The
Just to
current one for
balance
this,
our
till the end
budget.
of this month.
Right. The state does require us to
And
have a
it
balanced budget, and I
verifies
think just
everybody.
adjustments. It's not that we're bringing any other money in, it's just we're shifting to make sure that the categories are in line and balanced.
Okay.
Call the question.
So I've got a motion and support. Let me put that on the floor and say all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That motion passed. And on to spring cleanup.
We've gotten input from various places. My feeling is that we do one of two things. We either change up the process and demand that Jeff do a bunch of stuff to make us happy because we're paying half the fee, or we get out of it altogether and we just let him use the parking lot. If we are gonna pay half the fee, then I think we need to adjust the prices on the flyer that reflects what they're supposed to get paid, charged, because multiple people, even after last meeting, told me that they were charged the full amount on the flyer, even though it says they're supposed to pay 50%. So my favor would be to just let him use the parking lot and run it his own way, and it has nothing to do with the township. But if we do want to stay involved, then making him fill out receipts and do all those things is fine, but whether or not he's going to be willing to do it, I don't know.
If
But
he wants to get paid, that's the only way he's going to get paid.
Well, and the thing of it is, maybe the residents should fill those out so that they know exactly what they wrote down. So in case there's any discrepancy, then,
I just know
I
it's
don't
going to
know.
slow it down a lot,
Yeah.
and he's the one making all the money. So either we just let him run it in our parking lot, or we change the fees and just make, I mean, I don't really have a preference, I just think,
I know there's a lot of support from the public for the township pitching in a little bit.
I'm fine with that, but it's just
But I
that
think
the
that-
bookkeeping he gives is just
There
mind-boggling.
needs to be restraints put on the filling out of those forms and the approval by both parties that this is what the resident pays, this is what the township pays, and he's got to live by that.
And then I think, like I said, if we're gonna do that, then I would modify this to take off the residents pay 50%, Conway pays 50%, and just put the 50% prices on here, so when he's charging, that's how much they're paying, and then in the end, we just match it.
That's a good idea.
yeah.
But
Did you get these numbers from him?
these are last year's numbers, and he hasn't
from
raised
last
them in a
year.
long time. I will
Which-
verify with him, I'm just saying, every year I call and verify that what's right, but I'm gonna change it to the half price if we're gonna continue, because he thinks, oh, that'll be too confusing, but then it's very confusing when he charges the full price.
Yeah.
And then, so he's getting the full price plus an extra 50% from us.
Have you talked to Jeff at all?
I talked to him about it last year because I had complaints, and he denied them.
I mean, this year. Have you talked
No,
to him?
because I was waiting to see what we were gonna do before I contacted him.
Yeah, I think we should get in touch with Jeff and make sure that he's on board with this. And since May is approaching fairly quickly, if we're gonna do those 3-part receipt books, we need to get those ordered.
Well, that's why I wanted to get it done this month to decide, so I'll move forward with, whatever we decide. And I always call him, but I didn't know what to say yet, till tonight.
Well, it might be a deal color, and that's the only reason I'm saying that.
Well, and I can come back next month and say, he said, no, he's not doing it, and then we'll decide what we're gonna do about that.
Okay.
But I didn't want to propose something to him not knowing what we were going to want to do on my own. So I do know like the bulk junk, I got a lot of complaints on that. I got a lot of complaints on appliances and furniture that like somebody brought 2 chairs and he charged them $20 and it should have been 10. And someone brought a microwave and he charged them $6 and it should have been 3. So
But is it Jeff or is it his guys?
I don't know. Jeff's responsible for his guys.
I understand.
That's all I know. I don't know.
Is there confusion on that end as well?
Well, I talked to him about it at length last year when he brought in the,
It was after the fact. Now I think we need to get that stipulation done up front.
right, but that was the first year I'd gotten complaints.
Yeah.
I mean, people randomly would say, it's kind of expensive, but, so, like I said, I just wanna, before I contacted him, I wanted to know what we wanted him to do. I don't call him and say, well, we're thinking this, maybe that. I'd rather just say, this is what we want, and if he says I don't wanna do it, then we'll decide what we're gonna do.
Fine, we won't do it anymore. Done.
And like I said, in the past, the supervisor and one of the trustees split the day and stayed out there with a list of addresses and checked IDs, but last year, the last couple of years, nobody's done that. Jeff won't do that. So if no one checks, then we could very well be taking stuff from people outside of the township and the township's paying for it.
It was paid gig.
It was a volunteer gig.
Well, I'm all in favor of contacting Jeff, saying this is the way we want to do it, get his input, if he's on board. I'm in favor of getting those receipts established and see if we can set up some type of schedule that one of us can be here.
Just to be clear on that, 1 for Jeff, 1 for the township, 1 for the resident.
Correct.
I mean, are we getting pre-printed county township special things or just? Okay, because you said something about, well, that's what I was thinking, but he said something about getting them ordered and I was like, well, I wasn't thinking they
Oh, I
were
don't
gonna
think we
be.
have them in house.
No, I know, but I just wanted to make sure. No, I'll get them, but I
Fantastic.
just wasn't sure if you meant you wanted them to say Conway Township Spring Cleanup, blah, 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 or something, okay. So we want receipts, I'm gonna update the flyer,
And Jeff's approval on it.
no, these are the things I'm gonna talk to Jeff about. So we want him to write receipts and have the residents sign, and him sign them. And, I'm gonna tell him that I will update the flyer so that what's on the flyer is what he charges and we match it at the end.
Right.
And some people pay cash and some people pay checks, and he takes all the cash and then tells me how much to write a check, and he gives me the check. It's very confusing, the way he does it. I'm not sure if we wouldn't be better off if we required, I guess if we're getting the receipt, it's easier to track the funds, but as it is, he'll just say a bulk amount, like, so it's hard to know what he charged people. So I guess I was gonna suggest we take just checks, but if it's on the receipt, I think we'll be covered. So, okay.
And then if everything goes according to plan, I think we should, well before the event, establish some kind of schedule. So one of us, at least one, is here on maybe, and we can do a rotating thing to verify that we've got a Conway Township resident.
Okay. So typically, I believe it's the second Saturday in May.
Correct.
And I usually put it in the paper, and I have gotten inquiries to know when it was gonna be. So if I talk to him and he agrees to these stipulations, I would like to be able to just go ahead with stuff, not wait until the April meeting that we don't even know when it's gonna be yet. So does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
As long as, okay.
So, and if you would, let me know that this is definitely go.
I'll let everybody know.
Yeah, I can get the signs up, if the signs go up on the first Sunday.
Right. I'll let everybody know what he says. I just wanted to have the approval to move forward if he agrees.
All right. If we are done with that item, let's move on to the dust control tool. Now, that was in the packet,
And I've got some information for you folks that I need to find. If you bear with me for a little bit, because the price did go up a little bit this year. And I've got,
Past what you gave us, or included
the
in
quote
what
that I
you-
gave you is what they're quoting us this year.
Okay.
And I've got the last 3 years'
Oh,
prices that I'd like to let the board know what they are.
I don't believe it's gone up in the last.
It hasn't gone up tremendously.
Yeah, it's been pretty steady. It's understandable.
Two damn many papers.
We always take advantage of the 1% net 10 days, but that doesn't amount to much, really. They graded my road today. I was surprised.
Yeah, 2021, it was .194. Last year it was .224. This year they're quoting us .229. So that's not a huge increase over last year.
Yeah.
What was last year?
Last year was .224,
And this year it's 229,
229.
considering gas prices and stuff. I didn't think that was that much.
No. So I guess what I'd like to do is get the board's approval that we all agree that it's okay, and I can get that quote signed and returned to Michigan Chloride, and I think there's a process that I've got to go through with the road commission.
It's not Michigan Chloride, it's Chloride Solutions,
Chloride
just to make sure you're not giving it to the wrong people.
No. And I got to go through a process where we've got to exchange, those insurance certificates between them and the county. So is the board good with that? Need to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept Chloride Solutions, chloride
Oh,
quote.
I'll support. Any discussion? All in
I
favor?
got one, Bill.
Yeah.
Is that gonna include the border roads?
Is that, Mr. Harrington? Yeah, that's sort of a complicated issue. It's one I've got to work with Ingham County, with Shiawassee County, because there's agreements as to who does the grading and who does the chloriding, and there's a trade-off back and forth. But yeah, I mean, the agreement should continue as it has been in the past. And I know one of the issues has always been as far as when the chloriding is done and when the grading is done, and that's so weather dependent. And I leave that up to the county road commissions, because if they get it wrong, then all I do is get grief on the telephone, because the roads are swampy and that.
Hey, what are you trying to say?
Yeah. And if they don't do it, then the roads are dusty and they're not being graded properly, so it's a thankless.
So, I'm talking about Aiken County. So, the thing is that I helped pay for 2 coatings, sometimes 3 coatings for Conway Township, but I only get 1 on my road. That's where the problem runs in. So if we can hold if through your deliberations with Livingston County, if you can nail that down with Ingham County, so that we get multiple dust treatments a year like they're supposed to, great. If not, please drive down my road.
I thought the
I don't care
agreement
who,
was,
what
they do one and we do one.
Agreed.
and that's what it was.
But there's always an issue of coordination between the two.
Oh, okay, because that's what I was always understood, was Ingham will only pay for one, and they're supposed to pay for Harrington Road. Since they would only pay for one application, we paid for a second application. We're not supposed to have to pay any. And then on Lovejoy, we pay Fowlerville East, take care of grading and dust control, and Shiawassee County does Fowlerville West. And then Owasso Road, I don't know if anything goes on.
Halfway down the road.
I was gonna say, that's never been discussed, but I did know Ingham
Right.
County, we agreed Because they're supposed to do it, but only do it once, so we were doing it once.
Right.
So I guess, and that's the reason I bring it up, is so that we can establish that right now that if Conway Township is gonna be responsible for doing one treatment on Harrington Road, it's in the budget so that it doesn't get skipped. And then, of course, we're not messing with our budget,
Right.
you know, by doing it, by figuring it out later.
Well, and the chloriding, it doesn't mean that the budget doesn't have to be messed with, because the chloriding is so weather dependent and condition dependent that we may spend more on chloriding this year than we did last year. We may spend less.
Sure.
But that's an item that'll have to be looked at as the summer goes on.
And FYI, I don't think the concert's coming back ever again, but we didn't pay for that, just in case anybody thinks we did. The concert paid for the extra chloride on Sherwood Road.
Right.
That ain't before I hit Harrington Road then either, so.
No, they only did it like a mile in each direction of the concert or something, but we didn't pay for that.
Could you follow up on that, Bill, so to answer his question?
Absolutely. It's an ongoing issue. I'm in touch with Ingham County, I'm in touch with Livingston County, trying to get the two to coordinate the grading and the chloriding.
But back to his point, though, how hard is it for the truck to turn around and make that other application if the other county or township's not gonna do it? So,
They do both sides on their one time, but Hingham will only do it once a year. That's why we've always done the second one, that we fully funded, even though it's their responsibility.
And Ingham doesn't call us and say, hey, we're gonna grade the chloride. They just do it.
No, I
And it's up to me to try to figure out when they do it, so we can, kind of communicate with the Livingston County Road Commission as to when it needs to be done next. So it's an issue.
Up until last year, they were really easy to deal with. You would call them up and say, hey, could we get the road graded?
Yeah, Ingham,
Right out.
Ingham was a problem last year.
It was last
Yeah.
year. I think somebody was complaining too much on Harrington Road. I don't know who that could be.
I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, right.
We have a motion and support on the floor.
So, all in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Oh, great. Moving forward on that one. All right, and I've got a motion in the packet to approve the board review alternate appointment. That was Tiffany Gann. Catch up here. So the motion reads that I move that we appoint Tiffany Gann to the position of board review alternate. Any support?
I will support.
Motion made and supported. If there is no discussion, all in favor?
did you interview her?
Yes, I did. I reviewed everyone.
Is she here tonight?
Hmm?
Is she here tonight?
Can you hear tonight? Nope.
Okay. 'Cause I don't know that, so.
We had-
Several months, like a long time ago, I don't remember exactly when, and in the middle of a meeting, when we were talking about never getting anybody to do anything, she and her husband both stood up and said they'd be willing to do whatever.
Oh, is she the young couple?
Yeah,
In the back?
and then they didn't come, or they didn't submit an application, but they were at that other meeting where we had a bunch of people for planning interest in that, and they both again said they were interested in whatever we wanted to do, but it was that young couple.
Okay.
But we didn't know their names that night, before I could ask, and then they came back that other time.
Okay. Okay.
And they live in, I believe, Miss Crampton Atherton's old house.
Really?
Not that she knows them or anything, but she said, oh, that's the people that bought our house. So,
So, motion made and supported. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? That motion passed. Next one is I move that we appoint Brian Williams and Anthony Camarda to the position of Zoning Board of Appeals alternate.
They're both alternates?
Both alternates.
Okay.
The three positions on board, zoning board of appeals are filled, but we have these people in case zoning board of appeals is called up and we don't have any, we have absentees, so.
I'll second.
All right.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion has passed. On to the next item of budget concerns. I think that was in the packet.
I didn't mean for that email to go into the packet. I was just
No, it was,
explaining.
it was.
It's fine that it's there, but we don't have to
Yeah.
talk about it. I was just
Yeah.
saying my position on
So,
it.
does the board want to talk to, or address the information that was provided?
Are the issues brought up still applicable?
Well, Liz is, I believe, let me speak, and Liz, please correct me if I'm wrong. I know Liz works with QuickBooks every day. And she's in that, she understands it, it makes sense to her. My concern when I developed the budget on a one-item spreadsheet is that when you look at QuickBooks, QuickBooks is not set up for government accounting. It's set up for one single business.
We've had this discussion multiple times.
I know. So the reason I did the single spreadsheet is so I could show the board, possibly the public, what the combined income to the township is on one sheet and the combined expenses. Now, to me, it made sense. I know with Liz, it doesn't because she's so used to QuickBooks. I thought it would be confusing also with the public because if you want to look at the total expenses, you've got to take the three sheets that Liz provides out of QuickBooks and sit there with a calculator and add those all together. And that's why I combined the one spreadsheet. If it's confusing, I don't have an issue with not providing it. I just thought it was easier.
So let me correct a couple of things and clarify. It's not a matter of what I'm used to. As I said, when you mush all the income together, you don't know what's general, what's road, what's cemetery. And the law states we don't have to segregate cemetery funds because it's supported by the general fund, but we do that so we can track expenses separately. So if you mix the road and the general together, it doesn't give a good picture because there is not one total aggregate amount. There's the road budget, the general budget. Those are the two that have to be segregated. And now, the ARPA funds have to be segregated. They didn't, now they do. So there's another one that'll be, that was set up. So what QuickBooks is, it is not designed for that, but every time we talk about BS&A, it's too expensive. And so you have a separate company for each fund. So my only issue is that it's not our official budget, what you use, and that's fine, but I just don't, it was, for me,
Just trying to get
we
a total
couldn't tell.
picture.
Yeah, I get it, but there isn't really a total picture. There's 3 separate funds that are standalone. Now it's ARPA, roads, general. And then cemetery we do on our own, but that's not statutory. So you can't smush them all together because it is like 3 separate companies. Their money is segregated, it can't be commingled.
The funding is separate.
Yes, so that, to me, the spreadsheet's confusing because you're commingling stuff you can't commingle. Again, if he wants to use that as his, that's fine, and if everybody else, but I know Amy was confused because it wasn't what she's used to either, because we're used to looking at accounting reports. But it's not that he can't do it, I just want to make sure that our official shows segregated funds and everybody knows what they're doing, because I was having a hard time figuring out the income, and it was because the cemetery transfer was showing as income and an expense all mixed in together, and it's expense to general and revenue to the cemetery fund.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my issue, and like I said, it's just that then every month when I give you reports, if you're using the spreadsheet, you can't compare them, and I'm not.
Then if you look at like interest that's collected, you got to add the interest up on the 3 separate reports. There's not a combined.
Because it's segregated, it has to stay segregated, that's my point.
But it's the same account number across the board.
That's why you're confused, because you're putting all 3 of those accounts, because we do use the same account numbers in every fund, so it's consistent, but when you add them all into one, was it interest for just one, or was it interest for all 3, or where did that come from?
Are you saying the account number for roads is the same as the general fund?
Yes, in like income and revenue, because the chart of accounts is dictated by the state.
So why are they not different?
Because they're in separate companies, they're separate funds, and you have to use the same chart of accounts for
It's a
all of
problem
them.
with QuickBooks.
No, it has nothing to do with QuickBooks. It has nothing to do with QuickBooks.
I'm
It's-
just saying to simplify this, if it was in a different account number, you'd know exactly where they're coming from and going. If those numbers are associated with are different numbers.
You can't change them.
Because the state
State.
State says you
You
have
have to do it that way, that's the state chart of accounts.
And for us and the auditors, it's better to have them the same, so you don't have to remember 3 times as many account numbers. So interest in all 3 funds has the same account number, but that's why you have to keep them segregated. So again, if he wants to use that because it's easier for him, I don't have a problem with that. I just want everyone on the board to understand why I find it important that we continue to use as our official, because we used to use a spreadsheet prior to me being here, and the auditor wanted us to use QuickBooks for our budgeting because it's more streamlined with the day-to-day operations. So that's what we've been doing. And I just want everyone to understand these funds are segregated. They can't be added together. You can use general money for anything you want, but you can't use road money for anything but roads. So when you put it all together, it's confusing.
Liz, have you looked at using classes in QuickBooks?
We use cost centers, and I'm not sure why I would need to use classes, but our budget is based on cost centers, not line items, which is a question you asked me.
Right.
But
But instead of a class for general, a class for road, a class for ARPA, all the accounts would be the same. You could run reports based on class and they would all show.
they do already all show. When they don't show is when he does his
When he does
spreadsheet.
his already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Class would just be more of a breakdown within the fund.
Report it out, like you're saying, segregated.
And they'll have separate.
Again, it wasn't anything anybody has to do anything about. I just wanted everyone to understand why I want us to continue to use, until we bite the bullet and buy government accounting software, we need to keep those funds segregated and report them separately. They have to be done separately for the state and the county and.
Yeah, that's what, the spreadsheet that I created was never meant to be the official, it was just meant to be, to help everyone look at the total picture rather than looking at the 3 separate companies. That's all I was attempting to do.
And that's, I'm just, like I said, I was just trying to clarify why I was opposed to it, and it wasn't just because I was being a stinker.
I'm not touching it.
I know, that's why I said it, so you would have an opening.
That's why I said I'm not touching it.
So, if that's all that we got with budget concerns, we need to open the public hearing on the 2023-2024 budget.
And that's the general one.
Correct. So, let's do that officially. Microphone. All right. What I got here, I've got 8:04.
I think it's 8:04.
So, any public comment on the proposed budget for the next fiscal year?
I do, fill out my slip, please.
Does he have to fill out a slip for this?
Sorry?
He doesn't have to fill out a slip, does he?
No.
No. Mr. Brown, you don't have to fill out a slip. Thank you anyway.
Hold on to that for later.
Hold on to it for later.
Not for the public hearing.
I got it.
No.
I steered you wrong.
I'm confused.
No, we're waiting on you, Mr. Brown.
You gotta have this.
He's not recording.
No, you gotta get my notes.
Mike Roud, Silver Road, Conway. The first one is, on the account number. Is it possible to put like a -1, that is your general account after the number, a -2 for the roads, and a -3 for cemeteries, so that it's all the same account number, but then you have a dash so that you clarify?
Didn't we just address this? It has to be the exact same number? It can't be a variation, right?
No
The
dash,
count
no
numbers are all
variation.
gonna change, as we discussed, was it last
Right.
month? So,
It's going for what, 3
it's
digits
not
or
about
12
account
digits?
numbers, it's not about account numbers, it's about segregated funds and accounting for them separately.
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt.
All
No,
the
that's
account
fine.
numbers are changing anyway, so that's really not the issue,
Oh. Yeah, so we're
because the state just changed the whole term.
Yeah, the state treasury is mandating. a change
Changing
to
their
the
way
chart.
of
They added
doing
3
business.
more digits.
Got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going from 9 to 12, right?
Yes.
Yes. So this is gonna be massively confusing.
Okay, I was just trying to see if we could make it simpler for everybody to figure it
I'd
out.
love
No, we can't, because the state says,
State law.
yes, exactly.
Okay, and the other thing is on the cleanup day, and I had mentioned a meeting or two ago about the 3 receipt deal. And I guess my full comment on that is if a resident pulls up, they fill out the receipt themselves, they put their own address and everything on the receipt. And then all the contractor has to do is write, like the resident can fill out their items that they have on there, all the contractor has to do is sign the receipt stating, yes, this is what they did, right?
And
So the
that's what we
resident can have a
discussed.
line, they can have a line where they pull in, they fill it out themselves. And then you obviously get a receipt, the contractor keeps the receipt, the resident keeps the receipt, so they know. And then when he turns the receipts in and he gives you all your half of the receipts, if they do not match, he does not get paid for whatever those items are that he's trying to say.
And that's what we discussed earlier, that's how
Correct.
we'll do it, as long as he agrees.
But with
It's
that-
gonna slow down the line.
Correct, but if they're filling it out themselves while they're waiting in line back,
Sure.
off the
I've
road
never been
somewhere.
to it, so I don't know how
Right, but
long
they
the line
can
is.
pull in
Is it
here
long?
and then pull in,
Yep,
fill it out,
I agree.
right?
Shouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, we're on
Correct.
board with it, I
But,
don't have a problem, it's just.
I mean, it's pretty simple then because, if his doesn't match yours, he doesn't get paid for the items that do not match,
Exactly.
and you're not.
Yep.
And at that point, in my eyes, nobody even has to be here from the board if you don't wish.
Well,
It's
that's kind of where
pretty
I'm
clean, right?
because the only issue is, and I doubt if it's a big problem, but you just never know. There could be an issue where people from other townships come, and when they fill out the receipt, they put their address, but nobody's verifying they live in the township, but I doubt if it's a huge problem.
Correct.
I doubt if people are coming from all over the place and dumping on us, but
Right.
you never know. Like I said, I have not attended it, so I do
And
not
that
know.
could be a spot check type thing, just to be, if you want to get
What
crazy.
Jeff says
If you're
about
driving here, you should have your driver's license anyway. So
Correct.
just see your driver's license.
What
Correct.
Jeff says about it is that he knows everybody, so he knows whether they live here or not.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, that's what he told me.
Thanks, Mike. Any other comments on the proposed budget? Mr. Smith?
John Smith. I can't let you off without talking to you. Since you were talking about it would take more time in the line to fill out the sheets for the cleanup, could you maybe make a public announcement in the paper and say, come in, pick up your sheet that you have to fill out, and you can fill it out at home.
Remember,
Bring it with you.
Right now, we're only dealing with the proposed budget, not the township cleanup.
It's not a public.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you can address that later, but right now, we're in the open hearing, the public hearing for the budget.
Okay.
Brandon?
Can you guys tell me if the workwear is included in the current proposed budget or not?
Say that again?
Is the current budget include the workwear?
It includes something, we just haven't decided yet who qualifies.
When we get
Perfect.
to that budget, that
But
is
it'll
going to be an
include-
item we are going to discuss.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? I move that we close the public hearing on the proposed budget at 8:10. All in favor? Aye. Public hearing is closed. And the proposed general budget
We'll open the public hearing on the proposed road budget at 8:11.
So it opened
Any comments on the road budget?
Do I need
Say
to-
11.
Probably. Who was that masked man?
All right, see no one wants to comment, I'll make a motion that we,
You don't have to have a motion, you just close it.
okay, so we'll close the public hearing. Let's call it 8:11. That's a quickie. So on to the 2023 budget, and let's tackle this workwear thing and get that out of the way, because it's sitting off here to the side. There was discussion at last month's budget meeting, there was some misconceptions, myself included, that I thought that $100 allowance was for like the board and the office staff, not necessarily given to every employee of the township, including planning commissions and whatnot.
And I understood it was the planning commission, the board of review, because they're people that meet with the public and the board
Yep.
and the office.
I'm not unopposed to it.
And I'm not, I don't have a position, that's how I understood it. So,
How many, do you know offhand what the employee count would be, including elected, appointed, and we 20-some?
yeah, 25, because that's how much I had proposed we put in the budget, was 2,500. Because there's 3 board of review members, 7 planning commissioners, although George is also a board member, so there'd be 6 of them, and then there's the 5 of us, and the deputies, the assessor, the assessor's assistant, the zoning administrator, so 25 was how many employees there were. And that's how I understood and wrote up the procedure, was that all of those people, because the planning commission sits up here just like we do, and the board of review meets with the public, and there's no dress code, and there's been issues and complaints. ZBA only meets every once in a while, so I didn't think they were included, and so that was my understanding. But I don't have a position one way or the other, I just thought I was doing it, and then when I saw your number, I was confused.
Yeah, well, I'm not opposed, I mean, 2,500 is not an unreasonable number.
And I think, Deb, you said you thought everybody was, but,
Yeah.
so I guess we never,
And I'm not.
I don't remember what the actual motion said, but I probably said employees. And it depends, I mean, I wasn't giving them to election workers and,
Right.
everybody that
No,
only
only
works
the board.
randomly, but people that have regular appointed positions that meet with the public, I thought were included. So that they were presenting a united front, because doesn't everybody think Bill Short looks nice?
Yes.
Because Gary has one too, and it's like, I want one of
All
those.
I just chose, I spent the extra money myself and had the embroidery done rather than screen print. Being in a company that I hadn't dealt with in the past, screen prints, if they're not done exactly right, will fade fairly quickly in the wash, so I just went with the embroidery on my own.
I
no
just
big
like the
deal.
color and the logo.
Yeah.
But people in the office won't wear green.
Wonder why.
I said, it's not that green.
Yeah,
So
I think it should be for all.
I don't think 2,500 is gonna break us.
No.
I mean, that's not that big of a deal, so we'll just amend that.
So that's the line item we're gonna change is to 2,500.
Yep.
Do we want to vote because on that, or do we, because we agreed to the numbers except for that, the senior center, and the rec board last time? Do we want to vote on each individual change before we adopt the budget as a whole?
I think that'd probably be appropriate.
I'm just asking what the board wants to do. I
think it's appropriate.
Again, I don't have an opinion, I'm just throwing it out there that we should decide to have rules of engagement, because obviously we didn't do that before.
I think we need to vote on each item.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion, we'll start with the workwear, that we amend the workwear budget, and bring that up from, what was it at, 700?
2,500.
Well, I'm saying from 75.
Oh, you had it at 750, I don't know where the
750 to
50 came from,
2,500.
because it was 8 people at 100, but.
Okay. So, and we don't need a roll call on that. So I'll make the motion, do I have a support?
I'll support.
Discussion? All in favor of the change, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passed. Next one.
So I thought we took the 2,000 out for the senior center, but it is still in there, so I don't know what we talked about. Did we discuss that we weren't gonna do it, or were we leaving it out?
No, this whole thing started, I believe, when George asked me to look into what benefits the senior center was providing, because your mom had been there a couple times, they weren't open or whatever.
This was before this lady was.
Agreed.
Right.
That's how this came up.
No, I understand.
And Haley contacted me and said that, you know, we gave the funding to the senior center last February, and I thought if we're gonna do it in this budget year, we should do it. Liz says it's in the budget. Let's go ahead and.
So to clarify, you're talking about giving 2,000 for the 22-23 budget that's already there, and then we're also gonna budget another 2,000 for the 23-24.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanna make sure everybody understands,
No,
because
wait.
we haven't given them anything
We have
yet.
not given them
No.
anything from last
Oh,
year.
you think we
Right.
did? I
I
thought
thought
he
we
said
did.
it, I thought
we
he
did.
The last
I
check.
thought we already did.
Okay, then we won't. I wanted to clarify
Well, I
that.
want to
what-
clarify that right
What
now.
we're talking about right now is next year's budget, not, he's
That's
talking
not-
about
I
February,
understand.
and this is March, so I just wanted to clarify.
Gabby said that she believes that we did.
Which is
I
fine.
believe we did.
I'm just
I
saying,
will double check.
we're discussing right now, putting it in next year's budget, which starts April 1st. That's all I wanted to
Because
clarify,
I believe that's what prompted the discussion about this whole thing the last.
because we did it last.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. I just wanted to clarify that what we're talking about isn't something about paying it in February in the current year, which is what Bill just said.
Yep.
We're talking about budgeting for it for next year.
Bill? are you-
Well, I just asked Haley when she was in here, when the last time she received a check from Conway Township. She said in February of 2022.
Well,
You didn't cut one last month. So it had to, I mean, that, whatever, we're not talking about that is what I'm saying. We're not talking about the 22-23 budget, we're talking about the 23-24. And whatever was done, I'm not writing any more checks till the end of the month if I can help it, because it just makes issues with the audit.
I'm not asking you.
No, I'm just saying, that's why I'm trying to clarify that you're not asking me to write a check now, and, because I don't want to spend any more money, because it just causes problems with the audit, having to adjust things.
I want to follow up with this in a year to see what kind of progress.
That's fine, just like the rec board.
If we go right back to where we are right now, I'm going to be looking at it in a different angle.
Well, and she said she has 3 years funding from the grant.
Understood.
And so we can keep that track of that, and then maybe she'll get a permanent funding source somewhere else. But yeah, I think just like the rec board, we need to be more diligent about checking and making sure they're doing, because your point was valid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I believe.
No one else ever went there except your mom.
February,
From here, you know.
in 22.
But nobody goes because they weren't offering anything.
No, I mean, none of us had personal experience till you brought it up. And then she said 20% of the people that go are from our township, so we should support it.
Right.
But yeah, no one from the board knew anything about what went on there day to day, because frankly, I'm not a woman.
I'm going to let
Wish
that
I would.
one go. I'm going to let that one go.
Okay, so, but we don't need to vote on that.
No,
That's
because it was
in
already
the
there,
budget.
I didn't know, I thought we had taken it
And the
out.
last item was,
The rec board, we agreed to the budget, so did we have it in the budget? We had it budgeted for 35,000, which is probably fine, we just.
yeah,
we
Randy had
always have
told me
to
that
adjust
that was plenty.
Right, because that's, we have to adjust it all the time like chloride, so, and then the salary, I calculated the 9 meetings that she attends, so.
It's 10.
Oh, I'm sorry, then we need to change it, but we don't do a line item, so we're good. Well, just, it's in there, I just want to make sure, so we don't have to vote on that either.
So other than the change for the workwear, we're good.
Yep.
Um,
So now we just vote. Do you have the resolutions? Did you say you gave us? Number 1 is in the packet, you said, right? For the road millage.
Yes, and I think it's number 3 is the adoption of the budget.
Well, we need to do the millage rates first, because that's what drives the budget.
Sounds good.
So did you say you had, did you fix the amounts in these resolutions?
Okay, let's start with resolution 230321-1, as soon as I can find it.
Is that the roads?
That would be the road.
It's in the packet, it's
There
not
you go.
printed out.
Really? 29 of them. Got too damn much paper. Here we go. So the resolution, as everyone should have in their packet, 230321-1, approves the millage rate for the roads of 1.9483 mils to be levied for road maintenance and road improvement purposes for fiscal year 2023-2024. And that is verified on the 4029 for our township. So I need a roll call vote.
First, you need a resolution, resolve and support. Resolution offered by, usually is what it says, but.
Resolution offered by me. Supported by
Aye.
Mr. Pushies.
No.
Bushies,
Yes.
DeGrupp,
Yes.
Witt,
Yes.
Crampton, Atherton,
Yes.
and W. Witt.
W what?
W. Grubb. Sorry.
Yes.
What's going on and we don't know?
Thank you.
So then the supervisor, does it say about declares it? No,
Yeah, I
it
declare
doesn't
that.
say it on there, but you
Yeah, I declare that resolution adopted. And the next one, there's all this stuff. This one we need to make a correction to. The resolution that's in front of you is 230321-2. Good old cut and paste, bringing that millage rate in from last year. The .8178 stated in the resolution needs to be changed to .8201.
.8201.
Correct.
I'll offer the resolution for adoption.
I'll support.
Crampton, Atherton,
Yes.
Bushies,
Yes.
DeGrubb,
Yes.
Witt,
Yes.
W. Grubb.
Yes. I declare that
Thank you.
resolution adopted.
We need to have one for the roads and one for general appropriation. We have a fourth one for the budget approval of the road budget? Because I can't find it. All I have is a general.
There's just 3, right?
No, there's 4. There's 2 for each. I know I'm asking Bill about the fourth one.
That's all I had.
I told you we need a resolution and for the millage and for the budget approval for the roads and the same for the general. So there should be a
You looked at the package you sent
230321-4.
on Saturday and noticed several items missing. The lawn care bids, the resolution to adopt the budget, the zoning ordinance amendment, operating millage rate resolution. You have one for the road millage. Those are the things I noticed off the bat.
Yes, so you need a budget approval resolution
That's
for
this
the
one right
roads and for the general.
That's number 3.
That's for the general fund, it's not for the roads.
Oh.
Okay, what am I missing here then?
You need one, this one says General Appropriations Act budget approval, you need a Roads Appropriation Act budget approval resolution.
Okay, That wasn't communicated to me. This is my first year for doing these things.
I thought you did them last year, because you said you did the
No, I did
budget
not.
last year.
I did the budget, but those items were provided by the clerk.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that, because I thought you were doing everything with the budget. What were you saying, Deb?
The one resolution here, which was the road millage rate, so that's not.
Right.
Yeah. it's
So the question is, if with that lacking,
I can see if I can pull one up and do it real quick.
okay.
You could do something else, or you can sit and wait. It's just gonna take me a minute to find it. Yeah, you can do the general one now.
Yeah, because that'll be number 4 anyway.
Right.
So the resolution 230321-3 is just a resolution to adopt the budget as presented for the 2023-24 fiscal year general fund. Nothing specific. I will offer that resolution. Any support?
I support.
And then roll call.
D. Grub,
Yes.
Witt,
Yes.
W. Grub,
Yes.
Bushies,
No.
Brampton Atherton.
No.
Resolution is passed.
Well, looking at 21, there was an approval of financial institutions and all kinds of stuff.
There was a lot last year.
This
There was
is
a lot of
20.
like
No,
resolutions
I'm
passed.
looking at 21, I see.
Oh, okay.
Because 22, I didn't see it quickly, so I was going back another year. Headley general appropriations. Maybe we don't, I thought we did, maybe I'm wrong. There's the proposed budget, there's the hearing, there's the other stuff, so, I don't know, but if we have to and don't do it, then it's gonna cost, we won't be able to spend any road money until we fix it. So,
Do some research, you have to, we'll take care of that next week, but.
well, we just won't spend any money until we do it. I mean, on the roads.
Yeah.
We don't write checks for the roads, only 2 or 3 a year.
True.
It's not like they're,
Motion, move on.
I don't know why it,
Moving on to new business, item 23, email security quote. I don't understand this one, so I'd like some.
okay, so. I gotta make sure I don't forget to fix this stuff and figure it out. Debbie, what precipitated it in the first? We've been getting a lot of phishing emails and things that we send the IT, and we do those cybersecurity things and all the different things. But a lot of them have been coming through, and we've had some issues with things not getting to people or not getting to us and this and that. So they have some new security program that they can institute to further secure our emails, so they can't be hacked and this and that and the other thing, and that's what that's for.
And that's $350, is that annually?
Probably. That was just what he told me it would cost to implement the program, so I would guess it is.
Is that per computer?
No. I have a meeting Friday with the IT company, but,
So we already have, security. This is just a one-up.
yeah, it's like, we have all kinds of stuff.
At $350 labor, it doesn't look like there's an ongoing fee.
I don't remember now that you're asking me what he said specifically. He just sent me that quote, and I was like, okay, I'll take it to the board. We've just had a lot of issues lately with our email, and I forgot what it's called. We'll get to that. I forgot all that security training we do. They have smishing and phishing and wishing and all this other stuff. And spoofing, that's the one. So that's what they're doing, is they're spoofing, and I had this happen a couple of years ago, but it didn't happen again. But now, like, I think it was Deb or somebody else got one that looked like it was from me, but it wasn't. They used like clerk at Conway, something, something, something. Like it said Elizabeth Witt, Conway clerk, and then I had some other random email address. So if you didn't look at that like you're supposed to from the training. So this is supposed to help that spoofing, like somehow it locks down. And I could turn around and ask Josh, but that might be not fair to do. But I think that's what he said, this spoofing specifically is what this will protect. But we've been getting all kinds of stuff, payroll, direct deposit changes that employees didn't do. And so this is just another level of security. If you want to wait on it, we can. I'm meeting with him Friday, or we can, whatever.
I mean, if the cost, if it's a one-time $350, probably well worth it.
I think it is because they're just setting up the email with more security.
Right.
But I can't say for sure.
I'll make a motion if that's the case, we'll approve that one-time $350 fee.
So would you like to repeat that motion more
Yeah,
concisely? So we know what if you're putting conditions on it?
I will make a motion that we allow the clerk to enter into this contract with a, excuse me, trying these cough drops, but they're not working. That we approve the one-time fee of $350 to set up this additional layer of security for our email.
Let me look at it real quick just to verify it, because I think that, yeah, it's just a step. So it is a one and done, I'm sorry. I was thinking about something else we talked about, and that, like, we're having a meeting because we have a new account guy, but it's a one-time setup fee.
Does it extend the contract? Are we in a contract with them?
That has nothing to do with our monthly, no. We're meeting Friday about that, and I was gonna talk about getting bids from other places.
Should we just postpone until next month?
Right, yeah.
Because you're going to be talking to them. That's fine.
Right, so that's fine. And in this same topic, we've used this company for several years. Do we want to go out for bids? Or do we want to keep who we have? That's just the discussion out there.
I'm fine with it.
Yep, me too. Okay. Now, is there going to be any kind of a longer list of stuff afterwards that I didn't ask or get in the bid? Or do I just give them what we currently... Well, I can give them what we've got. I can put in the specs what we have right now and get a bid for the same, if that's fine. Every time I do this, then they come back, you guys ask me stuff I didn't think of.
No, I just do apples to apples.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm meeting with them Friday. They do an annual review, and so that's what that is, but I will get a proposal for the next year. We don't have like a long-term contract. But I think we've probably had them since maybe 18, 19, I can't remember. We had Mike Matter, I can't remember when we switched.
That's fair.
Somewhere around then.
Yep.
And they've been fine. Last year was pretty rocky with staff turnover and stuff,
yeah.
but that's certainly not their fault, and they're supposedly addressing it, and that's why he's meeting with me. So put that on unfinished business for next month. Do we want the bids to be available for discussion next month?
I would like it, yes.
Okay. So I will figure out when the meeting is, how to do that. So email security quote, we're putting to the
Right.
unfinished business?
Yep.
Okay.
The number 24, the resolution on the road village rates already completed.
Yep.
So we're on to item 25, which was the changes in policy 7. I know I included the red line version to see so the board and what was provided to the public is the changes that were being asked for in proposal 7, or policy 7, excuse me.
And it was the attorneys who made these red line changes, right? They both have reviewed it. Are they the ones that did this?
It was in the file for this board.
Okay, then it is what I was given. I just wasn't sure.
No, it was just not anything I added.
Okay. So yes, the red line changes are per the attorneys to clarify some questions with people about groups and such. things with the Open Meetings Act. So they're just tightening up a couple things and obviously changing the name of the clerk because the clerk that was the clerk when it was adopted is why it says that on there. It's not because there's something wrong with it, it's just so that, I don't know if the board has, I don't remember if we've talked about it or just the public's talked about it, but that's why I brought this. And
I think
did get the
it was
attorney's
discussed at
certificate.
last month's meeting. I think the board and the public were both involved in the discussion.
I thought so, but I couldn't remember. And like I said, I did have the attorneys review it and give their opinions on the issues raised by the public, so this is what they gave us.
So if this is an adoption, I believe a motion by the board to adopt this new.
To amend
policy 7. And I'll make the motion that we accept that change, the amendment.
I will second.
Roll call.
Call's been asked for.
Has everyone read it?
I did.
Okay, I just want to make sure everyone had time to look at it because it's not an emergency or anything. And we'll just update it. If it passes, we'll just make the changes and put it in the adapted folder.
W. Grubb,
Yes.
D. Grubb,
Yes.
Bushies,
No.
Brampton Atherton,
No.
Witt.
Yes. So we skipped over that budget approval thing, right? We did the road millage and the general, but we didn't actually do that.
Yeah, we did that all together, so item 24 was done.
Oh, I didn't write any
Further up the
notes on
line.
it, so I didn't think we did it, okay.
Yeah, you said yes, you were, okay.
That's why I didn't miss it, okay.
So we're on to item 26, which is the lawn care bids, which Anthony, you asked to defray your call to the public until we got to that item.
Okay.
So you're center stage.
Okay. Well, 2022 was amazing. It was a learning curve for us all because with the township bidding it out for the first time in a long time, there's a lot of responsibilities that came upon myself and my company, especially enforcing the ordinances that are in the cemetery. I do want to highlight that this year we have made significant improvements in our equipment that we're going to be providing if selected. For the township hall, we will have a brand new riding mower with a bagging unit for mulching and leaf collection. That will also be used for spring cleanup and fall cleanups. We have 4 general rider mowers with mulching attachments.
Which one is your company?
Rescue Me Per Lawn Care.
Oh, 911.
The 911?
Yes, 911, yep. We will also continue rolling all cemeteries in the springtime, including the township hall, edging the sidewalk. We also maintain 6 cemetery weed trimmers specifically for headstones to prevent damages. And new this year also is going to be a pole saw, so that way we can trim branches for the township. Since there was some issues last year where there was no equipment available, we can now do that for you free of charge. Also cutting up fallen down trees. We purchased some chainsaws to also acclimate to that. Rescue Lawn Care kept your cemeteries safe. We relocated 1 wild honeybee colony that was on a tree. We removed 9 ground bee nests at no charge to the township. We've worked our best, and out of all the cemeteries that we do service, we service a total of 10 cemeteries. And in our history of mowing, we've had 0 incidences of damages. New this year also, I've also became a sexton for one of my townships because they trust me so well to take care of it that they now want me to do the burials and their code enforcements too. I've supplied 3 different payment methods. As you know, as you guys have spoken, prices have increased, but I've had a lot of outreach from other townships that would save time and money to the townships by doing a multiple year bid. So I would like to offer the same bid as last year for the 3-year contract with the 3% increase in the 2 years following after that. You can then either do a one lump sum payment with the savings, or we can break it down into 7 monthly payments. This is just meant to keep things easier for the clerk in the township. But last year we maintained 1,488 plots at the Fuller Cemetery, 900 plots at the Benjamin Cemetery, 989 plots at the Cochrane Cemetery, the Clean Cemetery, 84, and the Miller Cemetery, 545. Can you imagine having to weed whack around all that, including the trees and shrubs? Well, we do that, and that's where it takes a lot of pride and dedication in what we do. And that's why we specialize in cemeteries, because we take pride and honor and respect and dignity in those. We also work with your residents and guests who come out there who need help out there doing certain tasks. We've also adjusted last year our mowing schedule to fit the township, so that way it wouldn't disrupt township hours by instead of coming early, now we come later after you close. I supplied an additional page here for the communication. For the communications is key to providing services, and we're happy to fulfill any requests within the scope of our services. It highlights the spring cleanup, general services for May, June, July, and August and September, fall cleanup, and then it just goes from there, basically what we would do on our general services. As always, in contact with Elizabeth, if anything special needs to get done, it's a quick email. 99% of the time I'm right on it, unless there's like a little glitch in the internet services here or there. But we're excited to give it a go again, and hopefully, you know, if you decide to do a 3-year contract, that saves the township money and also, you know, allows us to work longer and learn more about your township and the cemeteries and working with the residents. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So we've got the 911 bid, we've got the 42 North bid, no details.
Did anybody add those up?
What? Oh, no, I didn't.
All right, go for it, Amy.
Weekly mow total is $670.
Well, I meant all the bids, did she add up all?
For Beauchamp, she added up every cemetery in the hall for a weekly total. That's what you asked, right?
Okay.
Well, these bids, did you add up each one of these bids
I just did the weekly total.
as a comparable to the other bids?
You
That's,
mean an annual?
well, these are all bid by cemetery.
Right.
Yeah.
She added them all, like she did the weekly mow, trim, and blow. She added everyone up together, and it came to $670. She did not add up spring cleanup and blow.
No, what I was asking for was the total of each bid.
Oh, the total.
Yes.
I don't think they're all here.
Well, we got one from Great Lakes, and it's, I don't get it.
I don't either,
He has
$500?
mowed for us for years, and we buy, and he plows for us, and he just charges $500 per mow, because if he doesn't mow when there's a drought, we don't pay, but if he does, we do, so.
What I'm getting at is the bids are comparable, so, as well.
I gave them all a spec sheet, and this is their bidding, this is how they presented their bid.
So this would be 14,000.
It would be 14,000
And 7, it would
for Great Lakes, for 7 months. I started to do both camps for my staff because,
How did you come up with 14,000 for Great Lakes?
500 a week times 7 months, 4 weeks for 7
You're
months.
figuring it once a week.
Yeah, that's usually what they do, or less is usually how it works.
And you said 14, 6, wasn't it 7?
14.
14
even.
I would like to go back to Great Lakes.
I'm sorry, Liz, I was coughing.
Excuse me?
I said I was coughing, I didn't hear you.
I said I'd like to go back to Great Lakes.
Oh, I thought you were making a motion.
No,
Sorry.
I was just commenting. Mr. Seven's,
I'm just trying
sorry,
to compare
575.
apples and apples.
I know, I get it, I understand, but that's just not how they bid it. I gave them specs, but we didn't give them a, format. It's never been an issue before. We've never gotten this kind of bids before that were so wildly different. Usually it's either a total annual or a per mow, and it's simple. Beauchamp's was the most confusing because they did it per cemetery instead of doing it like aggregate.
So what was the bid specs you sent out? The hall, all the cemeteries?
Yeah, and it just says that, edging, weed whipping, mowing, that was the specs or what we expect them to do. Clean up, in the spring and fall of the, ornamentation that people put on the graves. I can look it up if you want to know the exact details.
No, I just haven't, I don't know what the specs were.
It was in the, we can look it up real quick. Because it's on the website.
All right, I'm gonna throw it out there. I'll make a motion to accept the bid from 911. I liked their work last year, I liked their detail and the quote.
We had a lot of complaints.
Just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Did you say you made the motion?
Yeah.
That would go in there.
Don't have support yet. Anyone want to make a motion to anyone else, or shall we postpone this till next month?
Well, I'll make a motion as soon as that one is decided on.
I'd like to rebid it.
Are you gonna do it?
Nope.
Well, I'm not either. Because I already put them a bid, got bids, gave them a deadline, turned away people who tried to turn in bids late.
We go from 500 to 18,000.
Okay, Beauchamp's is 22,549 total. Great Lakes is 17,000.
14,000.
Oh, 14,000, sorry. So Beauchamp's is 22,549. Rescue Me is 18,500. And 42 North is 14,500. Those are your totals. I guess I didn't do all the detail on Beauchamp's because it was so much more than everyone else. I would make a motion that we award the bid to Great Lakes Outdoor Solutions. Maybe we just don't get the lawns mowed.
I will second. You did do a good job.
There is a motion and a support on the floor. Is there any other discussion?
Oh, 42 North, they're 14.5, that's just a flat 14.5. They could mow once a week or twice a week.
I guess so. They didn't specify, but yeah, that's what I would guess, since it's an annual number. Yeah, I was gonna say, there's two people here from 42
I want to
North.
know, is that 14.5, is that once a week, twice a week?
That's mowing as needed. Springtime, we manage other cemeteries. Springtime, we've had to do twice a week at other cemeteries, and then as we progress throughout the year, it slows down the growth, obviously.
So that 14.5.
You see that in my own lawn.
Where does it say, back to that, the mowing's sessions in
It
Great
doesn't,
Lakes.
that's,
It doesn't.
oh, he just bills 500 per mow. And that's what he did before, and that's how it was.
I'm just saying, if it's a rainy season and your lawn's growing like crazy, you might get it mowed twice a week.
I don't think it's ever been mowed twice a week. It
No.
may have been, but I don't think so.
I don't
I would be
think so.
hard pressed to,
Not since
because
I've been
half the
here.
season it's too wet to mow in most of the areas around here, and the other half it's too dry. So I'm not saying it couldn't
No, I
happen,
don't know.
but it's not been done.
Done, yeah. it's-
And our cemeteries are, well, this year Coffrin's gonna be a lot drier than it was in the past. They're all pretty dry. So they don't.
But on that point alone, the bids are not
I understand that,
There's no point arguing it. I mean, they're not
but
gonna
I
let me talk
just
again.
told you the totals based on past experience. We can just vote, we can post, we can do whatever, but,
Yes.
Desire.
I mean, we've had Great Lakes
I
before.
understand, but you understand my point.
Yeah, but the other point is yeah, you put it out there and you tell them how you want it done, but, and then they bring you this, I mean, do you call them up and say, well, we want to consider you, but you haven't filled out to what we want?
Well,
It's,
get a motion on the floor.
There is a motion and support on the floor. So if there isn't any other further discussion, we can vote on that motion. And considering this is a contract, we need a roll call on this. Yeah, we do.
oh, you asked me a question? I didn't realize that. I was still.
It's all right. I was asking you and thinking out loud.
Okay,
But
I thought you were thinking out
I think
loud.
we should do a roll call.
I was gonna, here's the lawn care services specs that we have used for a long time and never had a problem. It lists the locations with the addresses. Lawn care services include but not limited to cutting, edging, trimming around all trees, gravestones if applicable, blowing, spring cleanup, fall cleanup, regular trash removal at the cemeteries, trim low hanging less than 6 feet tree branches. No additional work shall be performed unless agreed to in advance by both parties in writing. That's what we have used for years, and it's never been a problem. I will say, we have never paid up front before until last year, and I would never do it again. But other than that, Great Lakes had some staffing issues, is why we went away from them last year. But that's been, and he never slacked off on the work, he just was sometimes not like the same day or whatever. And I don't even remember what day he did it, but it gave him some time off. Because we don't bid it all the time. If we're happy, we don't rebid stuff. But he is our snow plowing company, and he did do all the same services that Rescue Me outlined. It's outlined right here what we expect, and that's what he does. So now that's what if you have other questions, then, but that's what the specs are.
Call vote.
Okay, roll call.
Brampton Atherton,
No,
Witt,
Yes.
W. Grove,
Yes.
D. Grove,
yes.
Bushies.
No.
Motion passes. Let's start with resolution. On to item 27, April meeting. Right now, our board meeting for the month of April is scheduled for April 18th. The MTA meeting up in Traverse City, the annual conference, is the 17th through the 20th. If we can't have a quorum here present, we can move that and change that.
So who's going to be gone?
I thought you said you were a couple months ago. Deb said you
Yeah,
called and told her you
said
would
you
be
were
at the
gonna be
April
at
meeting.
April meeting.
Well, no, I'll be here for that.
Oh, then we would have a quorum.
Okay.
It just depends on if we want to do it with the three of us or if we want to try her in the
I could be in Grand Rapids, but I'm just leaving the next day.
Oh, okay, I thought she said you called and said you wouldn't be at the April meeting. That's why we thought there
Well,
wouldn't be
it
a
was-
quorum.
I'm supposed to be, but I'm missing that day.
I'm just saying that's the only reason we thought there wouldn't be a quorum,
Yeah.
because we just found out they wouldn't be
Yeah,
here.
Yeah,
we're going
Deb
to
and I won't be
meeting.
I'm supposed to be in Grand Rapids, but I'm not going.
So do we want to keep it on the 18th?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm good, okay, then we won't move it.
All right, we're done with item 27, on to 28. George, you sent this email and wanted this added to the agenda. It was an email from Liz, the other one, regarding, Mike's involvement in what's going on. Do you want to address this?
Yeah,
Do you want to address it?
Well,
Where do you want to go?
Is this a piece of paper or in the packet?
This is just a copy of the email.
So it's in the packet?
It is in the packet.
Okay, I
No,
was-
no, no, no.
No, it's not.
It is not in the packet.
So it's just in my email?
Yeah.
Or did you print it?
Yeah, this came out Monday.
I got this pile of paper, I was just wondering if I had to look through it or if it was already somewhere else.
I did give everyone a copy, but it's just in print, not
There,
there.
I got it.
Well, if I
The last
sent
one on the
it, if
file.
I sent the email, I can certainly look it up. I just was trying to figure out. Oh, here it is.
20 emails that I received.
Add the agenda items, so, okay, I'm on board now with what we're talking about. So what did you want to talk about, George?
Let me reread.
Yeah, no problem.
I think there's confusion by the public, or the people of the township regarding the draft ordinance and how it was put together, the most recent one, as compared to the last one. And I believe per some of these emails, that's why I'm bringing this up now. And it's my understanding that Mr. Homier was supposed to be the only one working on this, but I've also got emails from the planning chair that state otherwise, that there was discussions with Abby and the planning chair, and I'm taking exception to that, and I'm asking why that took place when we hired Mr. Homier to draft this new ordinance. So would anybody have any idea why that took place?
I'm not aware that it did take place. Michael
I'm not either.
drafted the ordinance.
But why did Abby take the draft ordinance, make amendments to that?
Didn't that I'm aware of.
She did.
Well, I didn't know that.
Do you have something that can confirm proof of that?
I forwarded you the email.
Did you forward it to all of us?
I don't know if I did or not.
I never got it.
I just did it.
And it's gonna happen
Who
again.
said that?
It's gonna happen again because we didn't plug that hole.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that, and I
And I
have
never got
not
anything.
participated in anything with Abby drafting or rewriting ordinances. She has been completely separate from the solar. Michael's been handling it all, as far as I'm aware. So if she did, I was not aware of it.
Okay, you did send me a copy of the ordinance, George.
It says,
That's not what my email was about, so that's why.
well, let me forward it to,
Okay, Megan's email,
well, Bill's got it, he could send it on. But it's,
sent on Monday.
it says Conway Solar AHC, Abby Cooper revisions,
And made some
31023.
editorial comments and one recommendation under C, solar energy systems, number 18, page 15.
And I guess it's a simple point is, why is Abby even involved?
I didn't know she was.
Okay.
We talked, she deals with our other issues, and he deals with that.
But my
I'm
point is,
really, really curious if this is just a mistake on Megan's part, that Abby reviewed the ordinance.
it's a draft ordinance. Why are we even looking at a draft ordinance for revisions by anybody? We know it's gonna change. So why did this even happen?
I don't
know that it
understand.
did.
There
I
is
don't know
no
what
proof
you're
here.
talking
That's
about.
what Abby was looking at. She might have been looking at the swimming pool issue.
No, I don't think so.
Well, yeah, but-
There's an attachment, all you gotta do is open it.
I didn't
Not
know
to the
what-
email that Abby
You
sent.
forward that on?
Because I never got it.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Where is?
As far as I know, Michael is handling the solar,
Abby's handing you a
and
email.
Abby is doing the rest of this stuff. And I was not aware. I will say that Michael wants her involved in things, and to the extent that she's our general counsel, and he isn't, and doesn't, just like with other issues where we have a different lawyer, the general counsel is still in the loop, but I have not had any conversations with Abby about it. I have, in fact, very specifically reiterated that she doesn't have anything.
Okay, I think it's worth clarifying this, to see if we can figure out what the heck going on. And certainly to me, there's no proof that, I know the email, the solar revisions are attached to the email that you sent me, George. It's not referenced that that's what Abby was necessarily making. Megan might have just misspoke. But if through investigation we clarify that that was the case, that's got to stop.
And my email did include Abby just because she's our general counsel and she needs to be in the loop. But it was not about that. It wasn't about ordinance drafting or anything else. It was just about, as you can see, my concerns about things that had nothing to do with the draft of the ordinance. So she wasn't consulted, she was just CC'd.
That's not what I see.
On my email. I'm not talking, never saw the one from Megan, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
The one I
forwarded
wrote.
it, I forwarded it.
Okay, the one I wrote had nothing to do.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
That's what I thought we were talking about. That's what it's.
She made comments on
I
March
just,
10th.
The one that Bill's referring to
Did you
is
get
the
it?
one that you said, Bill, please add this issue to the agenda. And it's my email about general issues.
the one I'm referring to, it came in on the, wait a minute. It came on Friday from the March 10th from Abby Cooper to Megan.
Megan,
And then
Liz,
she sent it on.
Secretary and Vice Chair.
I see.
And that was before
It's to the planning commission.
Right.
I don't see the board members being involved.
No.
So we weren't aware of it until just now.
Right.
But my point is I don't think we should be paying Abby for whatever this was done here.
Okay,
For
well,
billable
like I
hours.
said, I don't know anything about it. I don't know why it was.
Well, I'm making you aware now.
I know, but I'm saying I'd never seen this before. It wasn't sent to me. It was sent to the planning commission, which is how it should be.
Actually, the Friday, March 10th, at 5:33 PM says it was sent to you.
It says
It's
Michael
Abby
Homier, PC
sending
chair. Oh, I
to
do
Mike
see
Homier,
Elizabeth Wood. I do
PC
see-
chair,
I
Elizabeth
know, I
Witt.
missed it, okay.
Okay.
But I.
No, I'm not.
Like, I don't know.
I
So
don't.
I will call Abby and ask her about it.
Yeah, this warrants some investigation, no decision making.
I was not aware that's what we were talking about.
Call her and ask her what's in regard to you. Would it be easier to text her? Email?
Guess what? Board member discussion. There's no other items on the agenda that I know.
But I think there's issues with the people and as far as the ordinance goes, who's doing what. Okay.
Agreed. Okay, to stay on that subject and for one more minute, as we spoke early on in the meeting, do you think we should contact Mike to see if he would be willing to address the public regarding his involvement and what's going on with the draft and conduct that in a special meeting?
Well, there was discussion at the planning commission
No, I'm
level.
saying there's nothing, we didn't add it tonight, I don't even know no wonder everybody's confused, it's not even something Michael Homier. Okay, I was looking for solar and I'm like, what? So what you thought you were talking about, what I thought you were talking about, were not the same thing, so
That's why we're confused.
yes, now I get what you're saying. And as my email that I was talking about said, I think he needs to, at the planning commission meeting, lay it out, like what's going on.
There are
without
things that Mr.
details.
Homier cannot speak of.
I said without details, but he
Yeah.
can say the process and who's doing the work.
Understood,
That's
but-
what my email was about.
But it's very difficult for him to deal in specifics when it deals in the legal world because he's looking at it a little differently than we are, because he's looking at it from a defense position of how he's going to defend that ordinance if and when it goes to court. he's looking at it a little bit differently. So there are things from a legal perspective that he can't divulge.
No, I don't want him to. I just want him to generally explain to the public.
Okay, let me
he's
finish,
working
let me
on it.
finish, let
Okay.
me finish. That there was discussion that he would come up with another draft, hopefully by the end of the March, before he goes on spring break. Okay, because I'm not sure exactly if he'll be making it to the next planning commission meeting or not. Okay, but he was gonna try to get us his next version of draft before he leaves.
So he told you this at the planning commission meeting?
Yes,
Because
yes.
I wasn't at the planning commission meeting, I didn't know.
Well, your husband was.
Well, he doesn't tell me.
You never speak?
Not about that.
Okay, all right. So anyways, my thought was is if we could get together with him either before or after he goes to spring break and discuss the draft ordinance, how it is laid out to Liz's point, and how it's conducted, or who's doing what.
To the board?
So who's having this
Or to an
conversation
open
with
meeting.
him?
Or, well, my point was, you could do it at the planning commission or have an open meeting, separate meeting, scheduled meeting for the public to be involved.
No, who's having this conversation, explaining to him what we want and what do we want, because we're all on different pages with this. We don't know, we don't
Yeah,
have clarified,
clear.
we don't have clarified what we want.
Well, what
I don't want him to divulge any legal strategy.
He's not gonna.
And that's what you were just saying, he can't do that. All I want him to do is say, I'm working on the ordinance, the public asked the township to hire me because I am an expert, this is what I'm doing, and let me do my thing, and then, he probably won't answer questions,
Well,
and
okay,
then,
but
that's what I was talking about.
With that being said, I think we should at least let him get the next draft to us. If there's still confusion on the issue, we'll have a scheduled meeting with him somehow.
But that will be after the next planning commission meeting. Which
Well,
make
the
that
draft
easier.
should be in before.
Well, we won't have time, though, to schedule a public meeting and everything else between the end of spring break, which is different for everyone, and the next planning commission meeting is what I think I'm saying. If you want to have a town hall and he's doing stuff, I'm fine with it. That's kind of what I was getting to, is we got to figure something out here, because we did.
No, I'm not against what you're saying. so
We
go ahead.
did hire him, and now he's not, like, we're not telling anybody what's going on because we don't know, because he's not telling us. That's where I'm confused about.
We'll just have a special meeting now.
But we still have to know what we want him to say, or he has agreed to it, because in the past he's been resistant to that, making public statements.
He stated that in the actual meetings.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So if we want him, we have to tell him what we want, and then he has to agree to it. And no one's asking, and I don't think he would expect that we were asking him to divulge legal strategy, because the whole point is not to get the specifics out until the ordinance is drafted and adopted, so that, because it's a legal thing. Like you're saying about him trying to defend it legally, he's got his reasons for, I wasn't at the planning commission meeting, so I don't know exactly what was talked about.
Okay, but on a different subject, back to this. There was discussion like at Marion to pull their ordinance from the planning commission back to the board. Okay, is there any will by this board to do that if we don't get any motions or movement at the planning commission level to get this wrapped up?
Do we even have that power?
I think you do.
I didn't think we did. I thought we discussed that before too, that it's the planning commission's responsibility, and they do that, and then we approve.
There's nothing that's been done since last October.
Ultimately,
But that's on him. That's my point, because
It's on the
he's,
planning commission too, because they are the elected body, not Mr. Homer.
I know, but he isn't, my point was, he's not giving us information. I thought it would be one and done, and he would, months ago, but he has been not doing that. And I know that he gave Marion his ordinance in 3 weeks. How come it's taken us months? I don't know.
Other than Megan, who has spoken with Mr. Homer.
No, she doesn't know any more about.
No, there's a Zoom call here with Abby, Homer, and Megan.
Why wasn't anybody else in on it?
I was.
I don't know. That's why I'm bringing this up.
I was in a Zoom call, but it wasn't about specifics about the ordinance. It was just, this is what we're gonna do, is
No.
draft
That just
this.
seems really.
With Mr. Homer? You were in a Zoom call with Mr. Homer?
Yes,
When was this?
I don't know, a few weeks ago. But we weren't talking about anything specific to the ordinance. We were just talking about,
So the
That he
planning-
was bringing a draft ordinance to the planning commission meeting and that they would deliberate. That was it. It wasn't anything else about, and I don't know what's client privilege and what's not, but there wasn't any detail about the ordinance. I have not read the new proposed ordinance. I was at Institute last week. I haven't even looked at it.
Okay, well, I think we need to look into this.
Yeah.
What do you want to, I don't know what you want. I'm
Look,
I'm
if you're
trying to
having-
find out, what am I supposed to be
If you're
asking?
having privileged conversations without the planning commission being aware of.
It wasn't about the ordinance itself.
I have the email right here. I don't know exactly what the content was, but what would it be about if you had Abby, Homer, and Megan?
I don't know, I was invited at sometime in the afternoon to a 4 o'clock Zoom call. And I went, and
So only certain people are invited and certain people are not invited.
I wasn't the one organizing it, so I can't speak to that.
Okay, Bill, do you know anything about this?
No.
Okay.
I don't know, Bill has been involved in other conversations with him?
I have not,
No,
so
I
that's why I'm
know,
asking.
I'm just saying. But like I said, I just got an email invite to a Zoom call to talk about next steps, and it was just about that. Like,
So
he's
it's
got
just-
a draft, he's gonna present it, and then we'll go from there. It wasn't anything,
So it's just a select few
Yeah,
people?
there's-
Okay.
I don't know, I didn't have
In
anything to do
your email
with it.
that was sent, it says subject, meeting with Conway regarding revised ordinance on Friday, March 10th, between 4 and 5 p.m. There's the Zoom invitation.
So, oh, you did get it then?
Yep.
Because I was gonna say, you weren't there, but I didn't, I just answered the invite for myself. and-
It was sent to the PC chair, it was sent to Lily, it was sent to the PC secretary, it was sent to the PC vice chair, and that was it.
Well, why was it only just Megan and then the 2 lawyers?
I don't know.
It wasn't, he just said it was,
The invitation was exactly who was on it, I don't know, so.
well, I can't, I don't know either.
Yeah.
I called in on my phone, I wasn't looking at people, I don't know who was on there. But he just listed everybody that was invited, and it's, if you invite everyone, then it's a meeting, and it wasn't anything.
I don't know what it was.
I didn't have it, I didn't schedule it, I just called and listened. So I was in the loop.
Okay.
We going anywhere with this?
I don't think so, we're just having board member discussion, motion to adjourn, 9.
Well,
No, you got more stuff to do here.
Oh, why didn't, my agenda stopped at board member discussion, I thought we did the.
The only other item I got.
Who got what?
That was discussed in the
Just
budget.
added more things.
Yep, so,
Oh, okay.
last call
Sorry.
to the public. Anyone would like to address the board?
I'm never gonna enter an invite to a Zoom meeting, because I don't know, I don't know.
All right, Tom, just
Go ahead, Rob. I'm not filling out a slip, so. Rob Porter, Conway Township, obviously, Silver Road. Thanks for doing what you guys just did, because I was a little worried there you weren't going to keep on track with the normal fighting.
I didn't think we were fighting.
You never do.
I thought we were fighting.
Bill, you're the supervisor of this township, right? Supervisor is a leader. A leader leads from the top. You're losing control of your board, this board. You're losing control of your planning commission. It's a toxic environment. People are, if these people weren't elected officials, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be here. I know I wouldn't put up with this crap as an employee. Brightest spirit wherever, you're not gonna keep me to stay. Every single meeting. I thought you were gonna do pretty good today with guests in the room, pretty important guest, but no, couldn't hold it together. Two things that come to mind. A bad manager can destroy the highest performing team. Top talent and most passionate people exit and all results suffer. I'm a supervisor. If I don't supervise my people, people could die. You don't have that responsibility. Okay? If I screw up, people die. I can respect any person who can put their ego aside and say, I made a mistake. I apologize, and I'm going to correct my behavior. Kind of thought we were going down that path today. Screwed up again. Thank you.
Tom Parker, 7,000 Hayden Road, Conway. The last discussion that you guys just had was really important, and I qualify it by saying if. Unfortunately, it seems like you guys make decisions sometimes, and they're not followed through, primarily with the Planning Commission. And that's a problem. You guys set the tone for the entire township. And when you guys make a decision, you need to make sure that it gets followed through. If what you guys were just talking about actually happened, and somebody went to an attorney that they're not supposed to, that's not okay. That's our money. Another aspect of that is, here we go, we gave a directive out of the board who was going to handle what part of the operations. Solar was over here, the rest of it was over here. It's disappointing. I have one other concern about an important process not being followed according to the Michigan Planning and Enabling Act. Our PC chair admitted to having a potential conflict of interest, followed by an admission that she addressed it with our attorney, Abby. This process is not following Michigan law. Below are the portions of the Michigan Planning Enabling Act outlining the proper procedure. I've got it here for you. I'll forward it up to Bill. By not following the law in this matter, the PC chair has committed malfeasance. Malfeasance is grounds for dismissal. According to Section 9 of the Planning and Enabling Act, I urge the board to properly investigate and manage this situation. And I'd like to forward this for you guys. It has a copy of the Section 9 of the Enabling Act that's been violated.
Tom, can you give us some specifics? I mean, having the Planning Enabling Act,
Okay, so Section 9 says that if you have a conflict of interest, you take it to the commission that you're working with, and they determine whether or not you have a conflict of interest. So I'm not saying she had a conflict of interest, but she took that.
you're saying she did not do that.
You guys
She did.
discussed.
However, I witnessed that in
Several months
December at the Planning Commission meeting. She brought up the fact that she said, I have been elected to the library board in Fowlerville. I've spoken with Mr. Homier, I have spoken with Abby Cooper. I want to let the rest of the board know that. Does the board have any issue? There was some board discussion, please correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't recall it in that manner.
It's in the minutes.
She did not discuss it with me.
Okay, it was in the minutes.
Homier wasn't even a picture.
No, she didn't discuss it with Homer, she discussed it with Abby, and Abby said, according to her, she didn't have a conflict of interest. That's not what the law says. The law says you bring it to all of the commissioners decide whether or not you have a conflict of interest. She didn't do that. By not doing that, right in the law, it says she has committed malfeasance. She's supposed to know what's in that Enabling Act and Zoning Act. In fact, Abby should know what's in that, as should all of you. And Abby gave an opinion on something that she had no business giving an opinion on. So Megan needs to understand the law, and she needs to follow the law. That's all I'm saying.
Sarah Porter, Silver Road. I'm going to follow up with that other Porter guy. Over 2 weeks ago, I submitted some information that was pertinent to this meeting. Many questions that were gone through by the supervisor and the clerk, and Bill, I really appreciate your answers, and they were very in-depth and very helpful. What I'm disappointed about is I asked for them to be included for this minute packet because I thought that my questions might help someone else understand how this process works, how the township works, how the budget works. And that got ignored. I was told that you generally don't put outside information in, and when I said, but I specifically requested and handed it, and it was on the agenda. It's not just like, are we having a picnic this summer? It was on the agenda. That was followed up with, when you give information to the board, we read it and consider it, but it does not become part of the official record. I do believe anything I hand in this building is official record as soon as I do it, because if someone else wants to see it, they can FOIA that and get it. So it's disappointing that it couldn't get included just to help other people. Also, on, Bill, one of your answers, my question was for the audience, was just really about how the budget works and how they shift dollars, and when something's over or under, where they pull it from, where does it come from? At the end of the day, if we're over budget, where does it come from? This response, sometimes I read things and my jaw just drops. The response is, the budget is the supervisor's statutory duty to create. Our previous supervisor of 16 years was unable to complete a budget presentation, so I commend you in getting that done as it hadn't been done before. Since becoming supervisor, the clerk has restricted me from complete access to the accounting software, even though as deputy treasurer I had complete access to it for 7.5 years. I am allowed to see totals only and no details. It's quite a challenge to create an accurate budget without knowing any of the details that put us in the situation we are presently in. That's gravely concerning. I agree with you, Bill. Like, how do you sit and put that whole packet together when you're not getting to the details behind the numbers? And that goes on what was just said. The cohesiveness of this board is really concerning to the residents. We have the biggest thing that has hit this township coming down the pipe, and we're all super concerned. And if you guys can't lead from the top and get on the same page, how do you fight for us? We're concerned. Thank you.
All right, Steve Smith, Rob Road. I want to talk a little bit about the last Planning Commission meeting. I was very disappointed in that draft. We expected a lot more because we've done a lot of work, but there was a couple good things. And I think Mr. Homier was just trying to get something out there. The one thing good, he introduced the concept of an overlay district. So instead of allowing the solar to sprawl over the whole township, it would be in a designated area. Now, Kelly Racco advocated that months ago, but Abby Cooper was either too lazy or whatever, didn't think we had enough time. She didn't do it. This was clearly over Abby Cooper's head, and she should have acknowledged that months ago. So if Megan is now talking to her, that is extremely disturbing. Now, I've read what we expected from Mr. Homier for this first draft. We expected him to take the best parts of several ordinances and put it together in one. I could write this ordinance for you. I could write 95% of this ordinance for you. But he's the one that knows what's legally right. And he's very good. I want to give you 2 examples of something that's very good. The first one, I sent a message to the Planning Commission on. It was on sound measurement. You have to specify in your ordinance, you set a limit on the sound, but you also have to specify how that sound is measured. And if you don't do that, these power companies can interpret it any way they want. Abby Cooper did not do that. Our planning commission, our planner that we paid $37,000 over budget, they did not do that. They were worthless. Mr. Homier did do that. And how I know how important that is because we were contacted by someone else from another township that's been through this, and he emphasized how important that is. A second one, he put in the ordinance, underground transmission lines have to apply with the National Electrical Code. Now, why is that? When I read it in Handy's Township, I wondered, why is that even in there? Isn't it obvious? Isn't it the law? Guess what?
It's not.
It's not. I learned that from going to the Livingston County commissioners. Utilities are not required to comply with the National Electrical Code. So I'm glad George knew that. Amy, I'm curious, did you know that? That utilities are not required to comply with the National Electrical Code. How would anybody know that unless you worked with it?
Electricians and linemen would know that.
Okay. Ms. Steve, did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay, so the second question, if you knew it, would you actually remember to put it in the ordinance?
No, it's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, I have a hard time remembering all that I should know or do know. But Mr. Homier did it. Again, our previous planners didn't put it in. Abby Cooper didn't put it in. So he's a good guy. Again, I'm a little disappointed in that first draft, but I think if we stick through it, we'll come up with something good. Thank you.
Since I turned in the slip in the wrong spot, I'm not going to turn one in now. So,
Thank you.
just to reiterate a little bit what they're saying about Mr. Homier. Yes, it is his job to compile everything that our PC board gives him to put in the ordinance and to tell them whether that is legal or not. It is not his total job to write the ordinance. He has to listen to each individual township and their PC board and their input and put that, what they are wanting, and that's supposed to be from the people and what the people are wanting. And that board has been given many, many documents on specific things that people in this township want in that ordinance, but yet somehow they're not in the ordinance. I do not blame him. I blame our PC board for giving him, excuse my French, crap information to put in the ordinance. Because there are many other townships that he is doing ordinance for that we have been to meetings for that are way more detailed than the one we have. So that's number one. Number two is the people that are sitting here come to these meetings over and over and over with basically the same results every time we come. Disappointment, frustration, anger, some people, because of the dispreparedness of some people on the board when we are searching for documents or talking about things that isn't even being pertained to at that particular point or time. And this is a constant every time we come here. And it's frustrating because, in my opinion, which maybe doesn't mean much, but these meetings should be like half as long as what they are. We've been, and I have been to many other meetings, the county meetings, and more than just this county, many, many other board meetings for other townships that are very structured and move very, very quickly. And they actually accomplish like 3 times as much. So I just hope that we can like get this figured out quickly, because as the people have stated, the train's coming down the tracks and we can see the light.
I just got one little thing. Karen O'Neill, 6572 Hainer Road. Mr. Pushy said that he wanted to have a public meeting, and Ms. Witt said, we can't get one that soon. Well, I remember one that was 18 hours. 18-hour
Can I clarify
notice.
that? I said we have to notice it, and it has to be in the paper 15 days early. a special meeting of the board, it needs 18 hours notice. A public
Okay,
meeting,
let's do a special meeting, Mr. Pushy.
Public hearing.
a public hearing is what you're asking for. And
And that requires 15 days notice.
The lady has a point.
schedule a meeting, George. I don't have a problem with it. I was just pointing out the law. But it's, you have to put it in the paper, and the paper comes out once a week, and we have to give 15 days notice. So if we don't get anything till the end of March, and you want to have it before the second Monday in April,
I don't know when.
there's
we're
not
gonna get
15
it.
days.
I don't know when we're gonna get it.
That was my point. I wasn't trying to say not do it. I just said it wouldn't fit in the law
Timing is different.
timeline.
Yes, sir?
Thank you for the sound system.
Anyone else?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. 8:09.
Okay.